The night shift at Argonne Federal Complex had a silence that felt engineered, precise, almost unnatural. This wasn't just a building, it was a fortress of secrets. Hidden beneath Washington, D.C., with subterranean levels that even many employees never glimpsed, the complex breathed with purpose and danger. It was here that Officer Marcus Hale worked his midnight shift, a job where boredom often stretched into hours of monotony, broken only by the occasional malfunctioning security panel or a late-night delivery of sensitive materials. Marcus thrived in routine. 34, broad-shouldered, methodical, he took comfort in the predictability of his uniform, the authority of his badge, and the simple command of his presence. You can't go there. It was a rule-bound world he could control, or at least that was the illusion, until tonight. The automatic doors parted at 2:11 a.m., and a figure stepped inside that would unravel that illusion. She was small, almost fragile at first glance, wearing a slate-gray coat, her dark hair pulled back into a low bun. But there was a poise about her, the kind of quiet confidence that could make seasoned officers uneasy. She moved with precision, her heels silent against the polished concrete. Marcus straightened behind the security podium, instincts prickling. "Ma'am, the lobby is closed. Public services reopen at." She cut him off with the weight of her presence, setting a badge down on the counter. Dr. Elena Mora. Department classified. Clearance level 7. Marcus's throat constricted. Level 7 clearance wasn't just high, it was legendary. Most staff barely scraped level 4. Directors rarely touched level 6. Level 7 was whispered about, almost mythic, the domain of those trusted with secrets that could shake governments. "Level 7, he asked, his voice laced with disbelief. "We don't get many of those." Her response was soft but unwavering. "You're not supposed to." Marcus scanned the ID under UV light. The hologram was flawless, the microprint perfect. The embedded chip hummed alive with energy. Everything about it was real. Impossible, yes, but real. Still, protocol was protocol. "I'm going to need to escort you out while we verify this transfer," Marcus said, trying to inject authority into his tone. Her eyes softened, just a fraction, carrying the weight of someone long used to authority challenging her. "That won't be necessary." "It is necessary," he countered. "Please follow me." Marcus led the way down the dimly lit hallway. Every footstep echoed, punctuated by the soft hum of the building's life support systems. The air smelled faintly of ozone and industrial cleaning agents. At the end of the corridor stood the Level 7 biometric door, a monstrosity of reinforced steel and armored glass, a barrier no ordinary employee had ever crossed. Rumors of its lethality were whispered even among security officers. Marcus pointed toward it. "You can't go any further." Elena reached into her coat, slowly, deliberately. Marcus's hand instinctively went to his sidearm. "I said," he started, but she lifted nothing threatening, just her ID badge. "It's okay," she said. "It's reading my badge." The scanner hummed, low and almost sentient, casting a pale blue glow across the hallway. Marcus took an involuntary step back. "That scanner isn't active. It shouldn't be active," he said, voice tight. She lifted the badge closer. A series of low beeps echoed as the scanner processed the information. Then came the hiss of air vents releasing, metal grinding, and a soft thrum of machinery awakening. "Access granted." Level 7 authorization confirmed. Marcus froze. The door slowly split down the center, its steel halves sliding apart with a deliberate inevitability. No one should be able to open that door," he whispered, incredulous. Elena stepped forward, calm, purposeful, her eyes holding no panic, only a quiet determination that unnerved him. "I don't have a choice," she murmured. Marcus tried to intervene, stepping in her path. "You can't go in there." She looked at him, and in that instant all pretenses fell away. There was exhaustion in her eyes, but not from fear, from something heavier. The weight of missions carried too long, of secrets that clawed at her insides. "Officer Hale, if they ask, I didn't want to come back." The doors slid shut behind her, the clang of steel ringing like a judgment. Marcus's hand barely missed being caught in the mechanism. The floor vibrated with residual energy as the chamber inside lit up, revealing a corridor few had ever seen. Marcus ran to the control panel, frantically checking the readouts. The system was supposed to register an unauthorized breach, and it did. Yet the logs conflicted with reality. Her credentials had opened the door, but somewhere, some override system was flagging it as a violation. Intruder alert. Dr. Elena Mora. Clearance. REVOKD 14 MONTHS ago. Marcus felt his stomach twist. 14 months ago, her clearance had been revoked, erased from the system, her access forbidden. And yet here she was, passing through a Level 7 door as if she belonged there. The radio screeched with new urgency. "All units report. Unauthorized Level 7 access logged. Repeat, Level 7 breach detected." Marcus's pulse raced. Sublevel H, another flashing warning, was mentioned in the command feed. A level so secret that it was rarely acknowledged, existing in whispered diagrams and deleted emails. Marcus had trained for containment, for intrusions, but never for a breach like this. And then the hum began, a low, vibrating resonance that emanated from the very walls. The lights above flickered as if the building itself recognized her. Something about her presence triggered the infrastructure, not as an alarm, but almost as an acknowledgement. Marcus stared at the monitor. Every security feed in his sector seemed alive, waiting, watching, reacting to her. "Why is she doing this? Who sent her?" Marcus muttered, more to himself than anyone else. And then he saw it. On one monitor, a motion sensor that had been offline for weeks flickered to life. The silhouette moving down the sublevel corridor wasn't just a person, it was a storm contained in human form. Calm, precise, unstoppable, and it was headed deeper into the heart of Argon. Marcus swallowed hard. Every protocol, every training module, every rule he had learned shouted at him, "Stop her, lock it down, call it in." But a deeper, darker intuition whispered, this wasn't just an intrusion. This was something far bigger. Somewhere beyond the reinforced steel and flashing warnings, Dr. Elena Mora was walking back into a world that had tried to erase her. And Marcus knew, in the pit of his stomach, that nothing would ever be the same once she reached the end of that corridor. He leaned over the console, fingers hovering above the lockdown keys, heart hammering. Then came a whisper from the speakers of the building intercom, a distorted, metallic voice that crackled through the air ducts. "Dr. Mora, you are not authorized. Step back immediately." Her voice responded softly, almost mournfully, though the intercom hadn't been designed for conversation. "I know, but they are wrong." Marcus's eyes widened. She was arguing with the building, with its intelligence systems, with whatever shadow of authority had cast her out 14 months ago, and she was winning. And that was when the floor beneath him trembled, lightly at first, then harder, like the building itself had taken notice. Marcus realized, with a chill creeping down his spine, that this was no longer a security incident. This was a reckoning. And the reckoning had just begun. Marcus Hale barely breathed as the heavy steel doors closed behind Dr. Elena Mora. The vibration in the floor subsided, but the unease in his chest remained. His eyes darted to the control panel, the alert still flashing red. "Intruder alert. Dr. Elena Mora. Clearance. REVOKD 14 MONTHS ago. SUBLEVELH. Access attempted." Sublevel H, the very words felt like a warning whispered in a nightmare. Nobody officially admitted it existed, yet here it was on his screens, blinking like a pulse in the darkness. Marcus had trained for every imaginable scenario. Intruders, system failures, even attempted breaches by desperate operatives. But he had never faced anything like this. A person supposedly revoked from the system, now moving freely through corridors that should have been sealed, bypassing alarms that even the most seasoned security personnel could barely understand. He rubbed his face and pressed a button to override the system, his fingers trembling. Nothing happened. Every command he tried was ignored. The building wasn't just ignoring him, it was anticipating her. Every scanner, every sensor along her path lit up briefly, then returned to standby, as if acknowledging her presence rather than flagging it as a threat. Marcus knew he had a choice: call it in, risk being reprimanded, or follow her and try to intercept before she reached whatever she was after. He chose the latter. He ran down the hallway toward the service stairwell. The lights flickered above, casting shadows that danced like specters on the walls. Every step echoed like a warning. He reached the stairwell door and punched the override code, authorized for emergencies. The door unlocked with a hiss, and he descended into the darkness below. Sublevel after sublevel, the air grew colder, thicker, almost metallic. The hum of the building shifted from mechanical to almost organic, a vibration that seemed to resonate with her movement. Marcus's flashlight scanned the walls, catching glimpses of pipes, conduits, and panels marked with obscure symbols he had never seen in training. He realized he was in uncharted territory. And then he saw her. Elena Mora was moving with precision, almost preternatural awareness. Her pace was steady, her movements deliberate. She paused occasionally, placing her hand on a panel, entering sequences of numbers and symbols Marcus didn't recognize. Each action seemed to neutralize a hidden security mechanism, silently disarming defenses he couldn't even perceive. He called out, his voice echoing in the cavernous space. "Dr. Mora, stop! You're breaching containment protocols." She didn't look back, but her voice carried softly, almost a sigh. "I have to go through, Marcus. They left me no choice." Her words hit him with unexpected weight. There was desperation in them, but also clarity. She wasn't reckless. She wasn't doing this for herself. She was doing it for something bigger, something important. Marcus hesitated. Every rule he had followed for a decade screamed at him to stop her, but something about her calm, purposeful movement made him question those rules. He descended faster, keeping her in sight. As they reached a corner, the lights flickered and a faint, mechanical whir filled the air. Marcus froze. A security drone hovered silently from a nearby alcove, its sensors scanning. Its design was advanced, sleek, black, almost predatory. But then something strange happened. The drone paused, then retracted its scanning arm. It rotated slowly, almost bowing to her passage, before resuming its patrol elsewhere. Marcus's heart pounded. He had seen drones deployed for reconnaissance, for enforcement, for lethal interception. But this drone didn't register her as a threat. It recognized her. "She's authorized, but that's impossible," Marcus muttered. His voice barely rose above the hum of the systems. Elena stopped briefly, glancing at him over her shoulder. "I was one of them once, Marcus. That drone knows me because it was trained to recognize me. I'm legacy clearance." Legacy clearance, he struggled to process. That doesn't even exist. Her eyes met his, steady and unwavering. "It does, but it's supposed to be dormant, supposed to be gone. They erased it, but I never truly left." Marcus swallowed hard. His mind raced. 14 months ago she had been revoked. Officially she was erased. But clearly the system had never fully forgotten her, and neither had the building. They moved deeper into sublevel H, the corridors narrowing, walls lined with obscure conduits and armored panels. The air smelled faintly of ozone and hot metal. Marcus felt his pulse quicken with every step. This level wasn't meant for human presence, at least not for long. "Why are you here?" Marcus asked, struggling to keep up. "What could possibly be in a place this restricted?" Elena's expression darkened. "They took something from me, something that shouldn't be in their hands. I'm here to retrieve it, and to expose why it was hidden in the first place. Before Marcus could respond, the lights flickered violently, then went out entirely. Darkness enveloped the corridor. Emergency red lighting activated, casting harsh, elongated shadows. He fumbled with his flashlight, turning it on just in time to see a panel on the wall spark and hiss. "Defensive protocols," Elena said softly, her hand already moving to override the panel. Sparks danced as her fingers flew over the interface. "They left traps for anyone who tried to follow my path." Marcus felt a shiver run down his spine. Sublevel H was alive. The building itself was a maze of silent alarms, hidden traps, and reactive security measures, and Elena navigated it as though she had designed it herself. "Why weren't you caught?" he asked. "I planned for this," she replied, "and they underestimated me." A loud clang echoed from deeper within the sublevel, followed by a faint series of mechanical beeps. Marcus realized that motion sensors, previously dormant, had been triggered. Somewhere in the shadows, automated defenses were activating. "We need to move," she said, her voice urgent now. "Fast." Marcus followed as she led him through twisting corridors, taking turns he would have never guessed were possible. He noticed small panels sliding open, revealing maintenance tunnels and access points she used to bypass security nodes. And then came a sudden jolt. The floor beneath them vibrated sharply. A security lockdown pulse had been triggered. Red lights flashed, alarms echoed, and the metallic smell of ozone intensified. Marcus glanced at her. "This is insane, we'll never make it." She didn't hesitate. "We have to, there's no other way." With precision born from years of training he could barely imagine, Elena moved to a wall panel and tapped a series of hidden commands. The lights stabilized, the alarms quieted, and the pulse of the building subsided, as if the level itself recognized her authority. Marcus stared, his mouth dry. "How are you doing that?" She didn't answer, only pressed forward. As they reached the end of a narrow corridor, a massive reinforced door loomed ahead. Its design was unlike anything Marcus had ever seen, multi-layered, armored, with biometric and code-based locks spanning the length of the panel. He could see sensors along the edges, small red lights that pulsed like warning eyes. "This is it," Elena said. "Beyond this door is what they stole, what they don't want anyone to see." Marcus swallowed, his pulse raced, and the alarms. "They'll come," she said quietly, "soon, but we'll be ready." He realized then that he had a choice: turn back, follow protocol, and call it in, or trust her. And for the first time in his career, the rules felt irrelevant. The reinforced door hummed, waiting. Marcus felt the floor vibrate under his feet. Somewhere behind him, he knew security teams were mobilizing. Somewhere deeper, the building itself seemed to sense the intrusion and prepare its defenses. And yet, Elena Mora stood before it, calm, poised, a figure shaped by secrets and determination, ready to step through a level of the facility most people didn't even know existed. Marcus looked at her one last time. "I hope I'm making the right choice," he muttered. Elena glanced back, a faint smile touching her lips. "There's no other choice, Marcus, not anymore." With that, she placed her hand on the biometric scanner. The locks responded immediately. The hum of machinery grew, and the massive door began to slide open. Marcus felt a cold shiver. Sublevel H wasn't just a place, it was a challenge, a puzzle, a test, and whatever lay beyond that door would change everything. As the door opened fully, revealing darkness deeper than he had imagined, he realized one chilling truth. This was only the beginning. The reinforced door groaned shut behind them, sealing sublevel H from the rest of the Argon complex. Marcus Hale pressed his back against the steel, trying to catch his breath. The hum of the building had changed. It was no longer mechanical. It was alive, almost sentient, vibrating faintly through the walls and floor. Every fiber of his body screamed caution. Elena Mora walked ahead, her movements precise, fluid. Her eyes glinted in the dim emergency lighting, a mixture of resolve and quiet sorrow. Marcus followed closely, flashlight sweeping across panels, conduits, and the occasional hidden hatch she ignored with effortless knowledge. Sublevel H isn't just a storage area, she said softly, her voice echoing slightly in the cavernous space. It's a labyrinth of classified files, archives, and systems nobody is supposed to access. What you see here, it's only a fraction of what's been buried. Marcus swallowed, realizing just how deep they had gone. And you're not just visiting. She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she paused before a wall-mounted interface, swiping her hand across a panel that slid open to reveal a small, recessed alcove filled with biometric locks and data ports. She placed her palm on the scanner, which hummed and analyzed her print, almost reverently. The locks clicked, and the alcove door swung open, revealing a single data cube sitting on a pedestal-like mount. "That's what I came for," she said simply. Marcus stepped closer, peering at the cube. "What is it?" "Proof," she replied, her voice tight. "Proof of what they did and why they tried to erase me." Marcus's eyes narrowed. "They who?" She hesitated, then turned to face him. "The people at the top. The ones who think they can control history, control truth. I was part of it once. I helped build it, but I saw what they were doing, and I couldn't let it continue." Marcus took a step back, suddenly feeling like a man watching a storm unfold in slow motion. "You're talking about conspiracy, classified level corruption, and you're willing to walk through alarms and security for this." She glanced at him, calm but intense. "It's bigger than us, bigger than the agency. If I don't do this, no one else will." Marcus's pulse quickened. He knew the theory, the whispers of a hidden vault, a place even Level 6 operatives didn't touch, but he had never imagined seeing it firsthand. And now he was here in the midst of it, with a woman erased from the system 14 months ago, moving like she owned every secret the building contained. Suddenly the lights flickered. Marcus froze. From a shadowed alcove emerged a security drone, sleek, black, and predatory, its sensors glowing a faint red. Marcus's hand went to his sidearm instinctively. Alina raised her hand, stopping him. "Not yet," she whispered. The drone hovered silently, scanning. Marcus felt a prickle of fear. This thing was fast, lethal, and programmed to neutralize intruders. But as its sensors passed over Alina, the red glow shifted to green for an instant. Then the drone rotated slowly, almost bowing its mechanical frame, and retreated into the shadows. Marcus's mouth went dry. It didn't attack you." Alina shook her head. "It knows me. Legacy recognition. Trained to identify me as authorized, even when the system says otherwise. They can erase me from databases, but they can't erase the protocols built into the machines. Not completely." Marcus felt a shiver run down his spine. She was untouchable in ways he had never imagined. And yet, she wasn't arrogant about it. She moved with a purpose born from experience and necessity. She grabbed the data cube and held it to her chest. "We have to keep moving. The automated defenses here are more sophisticated than anything you've seen on a Level 7 alert. Every turn has hidden sensors, every corridor a trap if you're not careful." Marcus followed, flashlight beam cutting through the shadows. He noticed small panels along the walls sliding open as they passed, exposing maintenance tunnels and emergency conduits that allowed Alina to bypass detection nodes. Each movement seemed pre-planned, choreographed, as if the building itself were a stage for her. And then came a sharp vibration beneath their feet. Marcus stumbled slightly. "What now?" he asked, voice tense. "They're trying to isolate us," Alina said. Her fingers danced across a hidden keypad and a section of the wall slid open to reveal a narrow maintenance tunnel. She gestured for Marcus to follow. "Through here, fast." They slipped inside, the tunnel tight and dimly lit by emergency strips. Marcus could feel the pulse of the building, almost like it was breathing, sensing them, responding to their presence. He realized that Sublevel H wasn't just a storage vault or a secret archive. It was a living security system, reactive and adaptive, designed to crush intruders without mercy. A faint whir announced the approach of another security drone. Marcus tensed. Elena didn't slow down. Instead, she pressed her hand against the tunnel wall and a panel slid open above the drone, redirecting it to another corridor. Marcus's eyes widened. She was manipulating the building's defenses in real time. "Do you always do this alone?" he asked, keeping pace. She shook her head almost wistfully. "I never had a choice. They trained me, erased me, and still they built the systems to recognize me. I've been fighting them ever since." Marcus's mind raced. The woman in front of him wasn't just a rogue agent. She was a ghost of the agency itself, a reminder of every secret they tried to bury. And now he was caught in her orbit, forced to choose, stop her or follow her deeper into the unknown. As they reached another corridor, Elena paused before a bank of armored doors. She swiped her badge over a scanner, fingers moving in a sequence Marcus couldn't hope to memorize. The doors slid open with a hiss, revealing a chamber stacked with classified data terminals, each displaying encrypted files and holographic schematics. Marcus's breath caught. What is all this?" Elena moved among the terminals, her hands gliding over holographic interfaces, extracting and downloading key files. "Evidence," she said simply. "Evidence of experiments, covert operations, manipulations that go beyond legality, morality beyond comprehension. The people at the top think they can bury the truth, but I can't let them." Marcus felt a chill. Every word she spoke carried the weight of someone who had witnessed horrors beyond imagination. He realized this wasn't just a mission. This was a reckoning. Then came the soft whir of a hidden mechanism. Marcus's heart raced. Another drone, a trap. Before he could react, a panel on the floor slid open, revealing a mechanical arm reaching for the data cube in Elena's hands. Marcus lunged instinctively, catching it. Sparks flew. The arm recoiled. Elena's eyes met his, sharp and alive with a mixture of intensity and relief. "They're watching," she said. "They know we're here, but we're almost at the core. One more level, Marcus, and the truth will be ours." Marcus swallowed hard. Every instinct told him to turn back, to follow protocol, to call it in. But he couldn't. Not now. Not when the building itself seemed to be bending to her will. He glanced at her as she moved toward the final door of the chamber, fingers dancing over a biometric scanner, overriding safeguards, disarming automated locks with precision. Marcus realized with a jolt, she was not just retrieving files, she was rewriting the rules of the system itself. And as the door clicked open, revealing a staircase descending even deeper, Marcus understood a terrifying truth. Sublevel H was more than a hidden archive. It was a crucible, and whatever lay below was going to change everything, if they survived to see it. The staircase leading deeper into Sublevel H groaned under their weight. Marcus Hale's pulse pounded in his ears, echoing against the concrete walls, the hum of the building now an almost palpable heartbeat around them. Every step Marcus took seemed to carry the weight of unsaid consequences, of rules broken, of security protocols violated, of a world he thought he understood sliding out of reach. Elena Mora led the way, her flashlight cutting narrow swaths of clarity through the near darkness. She moved with the certainty of someone who had walked these hidden corridors countless times, even if Marcus knew this had to be her first time back in 14 months. The building itself seemed to recognize her authority. Sensors along the walls lit up briefly as they passed, only to dim behind them. "Marcus," she said without turning. Her voice was calm but carried a gravity that made him freeze mid-step. "Before we go further, I need to tell you the truth." Marcus swallowed, trying to steady his racing thoughts. "I think I'm already aware it's bigger than anything I've ever faced." She paused on the landing, turning to face him. The dim light revealed the hard lines of her face, shadows cast beneath her cheekbones, eyes sharp, alive with intensity. 14 months ago, they revoked my clearance. They erased me from the system. Officially, I didn't exist anymore. But it wasn't a mistake. Marcus frowned. What do you mean? They didn't want me to see what they were doing in sublevel H. They didn't want anyone to see it. And the second I tried to expose it, they cut me out, made me a ghost, a non-entity. They thought it would be enough to stop me. Marcus felt a cold shiver run down his spine. And yet, here you are. Alina's gaze softened briefly, almost mournfully. I never truly left, not in the systems that mattered, not in the parts of the building that were alive. I've been preparing, waiting, watching. Marcus shook his head. This is insane. You're risking everything if the agency catches you down here. Marcus, she interrupted, voice firm, eyes locking onto his. We've already passed the point of risk. If we turn back, everything I'm doing, everything I've learned, dies with it. You can either help me, or you can follow protocol and watch as they bury it all again. But know this, following protocol won't protect anyone. Marcus's stomach twisted. Every instinct, every lesson drilled into him over years screamed for him to stop her. And yet, he had seen the drones yield to her presence, the building itself respond to her movements, sensors and locks bending to her will. She was untouchable, and for the first time he questioned whether the rules he had followed all these years were meant to serve justice or to protect secrets that should have been exposed. He exhaled slowly, decision hardening. All right, he said, voice low but resolute. I'm with you, but whatever happens, you're responsible for what comes next. Alina nodded, a faint flash of relief passing across her features. I know. They reached the base of the staircase, where a massive, reinforced door blocked the path forward. This door wasn't just a barrier, it was a fortress. Multi-layered steel panels, biometric scanners, code entry pads, and concealed pressure sensors. A single misstep could trigger an automated lockdown, or worse. Alina approached the scanner first. She placed her hand on the biometric pad, eyes closing briefly as the machine hummed and processed her prints. A series of soft beeps responded, but a red warning immediately flared. Security override required, Marcus read from the panel, voice tense. If you fail, this door locks permanently. You won't be able to open it again. Alina exhaled slowly, placing her forehead briefly against the scanner. I know the override sequence, but it's risky. If the system rejects it, we trigger a complete lockdown. The alarms will bring every unit in the facility down here. Marcus's jaw tightened. So it's now or never. Yes, she said simply. Her fingers moved across the keypad with precision, entering a sequence of numbers and symbols that seemed almost ritualistic. The lights on the panel flickered with each input. Marcus watched, tension clawing at his chest. The building responded, subtle vibrations running through the floor. Red warning lights flickered along the walls. Somewhere in the shadows, he sensed the drones moving, patrolling, observing, calculating. A sharp beep echoed and the panel's screen went blank. Marcus's stomach dropped. Did you? Alina didn't respond immediately. Her fingers flew across a hidden secondary keypad, entering another sequence that only someone with intimate knowledge of the system would know. Sparks danced along the panel, the hum of machinery rising in pitch. Marcus felt the vibration under his feet intensify. The panel flashed green, then yellow, then red again. A warning siren echoed faintly through the sublevel, followed by a mechanical voice. Security override attempt, unauthorized, lockdown initiated. Marcus's eyes widened. We triggered something. Alina didn't flinch. She moved with calm determination, her hands flying across the interface. It's a countermeasure, she said. They expect an override attempt. I have to neutralize it manually. A low hum filled the corridor as metal shutters descended along the walls, partially sealing their exit path. Marcus's pulse raced. Automated defense systems, hidden and deadly, were now fully active. "I can't do this for you," Marcus said, voice strained. "You need to tell me what to do." Alina glanced at him, eyes sharp and commanding. "Trust me. Keep your hand on the emergency release if the pressure sensors activate. Move with me, follow my lead. One wrong move and we're trapped." Marcus swallowed, nodding. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. They weren't just facing a door. They were facing a labyrinth of automated security designed to crush anyone who dared defy the system. And the system itself seemed alive, aware, responding to her presence like a predator recognizing its prey. Alina's fingers danced across a final hidden sequence, the panel glowing a soft green as the override processed. The siren halted abruptly, the shutters receding, and the reinforced door shuddered, then began to slide open with a hiss of hydraulic release. Marcus exhaled, tension finally loosening, but his relief was short-lived. A mechanical whir sounded from deeper within the sublevel. Another drone appeared, its sensors glowing red. This one did not hesitate. It hovered between them and the open door, ready to engage. Alina's gaze hardened. "This is it," she said. "Beyond this door is the core, everything they tried to hide, and if we fail here, no one will ever see it." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. He had seen the drones yield to her before, seen the building respond to her movements, but this time the system itself was fighting back. The core of sublevel H wasn't just protected, it was alive with defensive protocols, waiting for the right, or wrong, hands to access it. He looked at her and she met his gaze squarely. "Ready?" she asked. Marcus nodded, gripping his flashlight tightly. "Ready." With that, Alina pressed her palm to the scanner one final time. The reinforced door groaned, then slowly slid open. Beyond it lay a corridor bathed in pale blue light, lined with terminals, armored consoles, and stacks of data cores. The hum of energy pulsed through the walls, alive and almost aware of their intrusion. Marcus stepped forward, heart hammering. He realized that this wasn't just a secret archive. They were stepping into the nerve center of every operation, every hidden agenda, every dark truth the agency had tried to erase. And Alina Mora walked ahead of him with calm certainty, carrying the data cube that could change everything. As the door sealed shut behind them, Marcus understood a frightening truth. Once inside sublevel H's core, there would be no turning back. Every system, every protocol, every unseen eye would now be focused on them. And whatever truths awaited would change everything. The corridor beyond the reinforced door was eerily quiet, lit by the soft, pulsating glow of embedded energy conduits. Marcus Hale's flashlight swept across armored consoles, data cores stacked in neat rows, and cryptic symbols etched into metal panels. It was as if they had entered a place that existed outside time, a secret repository of power and knowledge that no ordinary human was meant to see. Alina Mora moved ahead, her fingers brushing lightly over panels and keypads. Every step she took seemed almost preordained. Marcus could only keep pace, trying not to stumble over the maze-like structure of the sublevel. "This is it," she whispered, her voice echoing in the cavernous space. "The vault. Everything they hid, everything they thought no one would ever find is in there." Marcus felt a chill crawl down his spine. "You really think all of this, all of it, should be exposed?" Alina didn't hesitate. "Yes, because they don't just hide information. They manipulate it, control it, weaponize it. People die when secrets like this stay buried." Marcus swallowed, trying to steady himself. Every instinct he had screamed that they were walking straight into a trap. And yet, the urgency in her voice, the clarity in her eyes, made him question whether he was following the law or something higher. The entrance to the vault itself was unlike any door Marcus had ever seen. Multi-layered steel, biometric scanners, retinal recognition panels, and hidden magnetic locks. It radiated power, a silent warning to anyone who might dare enter. Alina approached first. She placed her palm on the biometric scanner, then leaned forward, whispering under her breath as her fingers flew over a hidden secondary keypad. Sparks danced along the edges of the panel. The locks clicked and shifted, releasing in a sequence that Marcus barely understood. He stepped closer, peering into the vault. Inside, rows of terminals, holographic displays, and secure data cores hummed with energy. Every terminal seemed alive, as if aware of their presence, monitoring their every movement. Marcus exhaled slowly. This is insane. Alina didn't respond immediately. She moved deeper into the vault, placing the data cube she had carried into a terminal. Streams of light flowed from the cube into the console, and holographic schematics erupted around them. Marcus blinked, overwhelmed by the flood of information. Covert operations, hidden financial transfers, experiments never authorized by oversight committees, and a network of manipulation spanning multiple government sectors. They thought they could erase me, hide everything, bury the evidence. But it's all here, Alina murmured, her voice tight with emotion. And now it can be exposed. Marcus felt a sudden pressure in the pit of his stomach. The air seemed to grow heavier, the hum of the vault louder, as if the building itself had sensed their intrusion. He glanced at the monitors and saw movement, shadows flickering across the far end of the vault, too precise to be random. "Someone's here," he whispered. Alina's eyes narrowed. "They've been tracking us," she said softly. "Even here, they know we're accessing the core." Before Marcus could react, a panel in the ceiling slid open, revealing a sleek, black security drone descending rapidly. Its sensors glowed red, scanning them with lethal precision. Marcus reached for his sidearm, but Alina grabbed his wrist. "Not yet," she hissed. The drone hovered in front of them, sensors sweeping. Marcus felt his heart hammering in his chest. He had trained for intrusions, for hostile agents, but nothing prepared him for the precision, the intelligence, the sheer anticipation in this machine. Alina stepped forward, her voice low and calm. "I am authorized," she said firmly, almost as if speaking to the drone itself. "Legacy clearance override initiated." The drone paused. Its red sensors flickered, then shifted to green for a split second. Then, almost imperceptibly, it rotated and withdrew to a shadowed alcove, resuming its patrol elsewhere. Marcus stared, mouth dry. It recognized you again." Alina nodded, eyes scanning the vault. "They can track me, but they can't stop me. Not completely. I know the system. I built parts of it, and I know their weaknesses." Marcus felt a shiver run down his spine. The woman in front of him wasn't just a rogue agent. She was a ghost of the agency itself, a living proof of its secrets, navigating the defenses like a master. They moved deeper into the vault, each step careful, precise. Alina approached a terminal at the far end, fingers moving across holographic controls, bringing up the files she had come for. A series of encrypted schematics appeared, documents detailing covert operations, financial manipulations, and unauthorized experiments. Marcus leaned closer, eyes scanning rapidly. He realized with growing horror just how much the agency had hidden from the world, and how much power they had wielded unchecked. "They call this sublevel H a storage area," Alina said softly, "but it's more than that. It's a control center. A place where they manipulate everything from behind the scenes, and I was part of it until I realized what they were capable of." Marcus's mind raced. He had been trained to follow orders, to uphold protocol, to protect secrets, but nothing had prepared him for this. Nothing had prepared him for a woman who had been erased from the system, yet could bend the building itself to her will. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared, sharp, mechanical, deafening. Marcus jumped, flashlight swinging wildly. Red lights bathed the vault in a harsh glow. "They know we're here," Alina said calmly, though her eyes sharpened. "We have less than 5 minutes before they deploy full lockdown. We need to secure the files and get out fast." Marcus's stomach twisted. "And the exit?" Alina gestured toward a reinforced panel at the far end of the vault. Through there. But it's not just a door, it's a gauntlet. Automated defenses, pressure sensors, drones. We'll have to move together carefully or risk being trapped. He nodded, heart hammering. Every muscle in his body was tense, aware that one mistake could trigger disaster. They moved as a unit, Alina leading, Marcus following. The floor vibrated beneath them as hidden mechanisms activated. Panels shifted, revealing maintenance tunnels and emergency conduits. Drones swooped down from hidden recesses, their sensors sweeping the corridor. But each time, Alina neutralized them, her fingers flying across keypads, overriding the systems in real time. Marcus felt a rush of adrenaline and fear. This wasn't just a mission, it was survival against a system designed to crush intruders. And Alina's skill, knowledge, and sheer determination were the only things keeping them alive. Finally, they reached the final barrier, a reinforced door at the far end of the vault. Alina placed her hand on the scanner, fingers moving across hidden controls. Sparks danced as the locks disengaged. The door groaned and began to slide open, revealing a narrow corridor beyond. Marcus glanced back at the vault, heart pounding. He realized that every file, every terminal, every holographic display contained secrets that could topple careers, ruin lives, and expose the deepest conspiracies. They had seconds to escape before security forces descended. Alina glanced at him, eyes sharp. "Are you ready?" Marcus nodded, gripping his flashlight. "Ready." The door slid fully open. Beyond it lay a corridor leading deeper into the facility, toward an exit they hoped still existed. But Marcus knew one terrifying truth. Sublevel H had been designed to prevent intruders from leaving. Every step they took now was a step into a gauntlet, a series of defenses that would test every ounce of their skill, courage, and ingenuity. And as they moved forward, the first signs of a shadowy enemy became clear. A figure in the distance, moving with calculated precision, watching, waiting, ready to strike. Marcus swallowed hard. Whatever awaited them next, it was alive, intelligent, and dangerous. And the final confrontation in Sublevel H was about to begin. The corridor beyond the vault stretched narrow and oppressive, dim lights flickering overhead. Marcus Hale's pulse pounded in his ears as he followed Alina Mora, the weight of the data cube she carried pressing like a physical force. The sublevel was alive around them, humming with energy, vibrating with the anticipation of automated defenses waiting to spring. Every step was tense, measured, as if the building itself were judging them, assessing their right to exist within its deepest recesses. Marcus could no longer ignore the questions boiling inside him. "Alina, why me?" His voice was low, barely audible over the hum. "Why bring me into this?" She glanced over her shoulder, eyes sharp. "Because I need someone with perspective, someone who still follows rules, but knows when the rules are failing the world. You're capable, Marcus, and I can't do this alone." He swallowed hard. "Capable? I'm just a security officer, a mid-level guy who patrols corridors and watches for unauthorized access. I don't do what you do." Alina's eyes softened briefly, though only for an instant. "You've done more than you realize. You've followed your instincts, and right now, instincts matter more than protocol. Trust me, you're exactly the person I need." Marcus's stomach twisted as he processed her words. The woman who had been erased from the system, a ghost, a legend whispered in security briefings, was now relying on him, not just to follow, but to make choices that could cost lives. The corridor ahead opened into a larger chamber, a junction lined with reinforced steel doors, data terminals, and surveillance screens. One monitor flickered with static, then sharpened to reveal the face of a man Marcus recognized. Director Kane, one of the most senior figures in Argon. Marcus froze. "Kane," he muttered, disbelief lacing his voice. He's in the facility." Alina's jaw tightened. "Yes, and he knows we're here. That's why we need to move fast." Suddenly, a mechanical whir sounded from above. Security drones emerged from hidden panels, sensors glowing red. Marcus instinctively reached for his sidearm, but Elena grabbed his wrist again. "Not yet, watch and learn." With fluid precision, she tapped a hidden sequence on a nearby terminal. Lights along the corridor flickered, and the drones paused, their sensors briefly recalibrating before resuming patrols elsewhere. Marcus watched, awestruck, as she neutralized threats that would have taken a dozen trained agents to handle. "This place," Marcus murmured, "it's like it's alive." Elena nodded. "In a way, it is. Sublevel H isn't just storage, it's a living security organism, adaptive and reactive, and I know it intimately because I helped design it." Marcus's pulse quickened. He had suspected she had insider knowledge, but this was beyond anything he had imagined. "You built this?" "Yes," she said softly, "and they betrayed me for it. They thought that erasing me would erase the truth, but the truth is here, waiting to be revealed." Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. "Betrayed how?" Elena's voice hardened. "The very people you think you can trust, the directors, the oversight committees, they've been manipulating everything. Experiments, covert operations, false reports. I found out too much and they tried to make me disappear." Marcus's mind raced. He had always believed in the integrity of the agency, the chain of command, the protocols that governed life and death decisions. Now, every assumption he had held felt fragile, like it could shatter at any moment. "And Kane," he asked cautiously, "where does he fit in?" Elena's eyes darkened. "Kane isn't just a director. He's the architect of Sublevel H's most hidden operations. He's the reason my clearance was revoked, and he's been watching, waiting for me to make a mistake." Marcus's stomach twisted. "So, we're not just evading systems, we're evading him too." "Yes," she said, her voice tight with emotion. "Every move we make is being monitored. Every corridor has eyes, every terminal reports back to him. And if he catches us now—" The implication hung heavy in the air. Marcus swallowed hard. "Then we have to move, now." They navigated the junction, careful to avoid sensors embedded in the walls and floors. Elena's fingers danced over panels, opening hidden passages that led deeper into the facility. Marcus followed closely, flashlight swinging, senses on high alert. As they reached a narrow tunnel, Marcus noticed a small display flicker to life, an automated feed showing the movements of personnel within the sublevel. One figure stood out, a shadowed agent moving with the precision and purpose of someone who had trained for infiltration. "They sent a team," Marcus whispered. "A strike unit, they're coming for us." Elena's eyes narrowed. "I expected as much. That's why we have to act fast. We're almost at the extraction point." Marcus felt his heart hammering. "Extraction point where?" Elena gestured ahead. "Beyond this corridor, there's a maintenance shaft that leads to the upper levels, but it's heavily monitored. We'll have to neutralize surveillance systems manually." Marcus nodded, though a knot of fear twisted in his stomach. Every step deeper into Sublevel H seemed to amplify the risk, and yet turning back was no longer an option. They moved silently, Elena taking the lead. She approached a bank of terminals, swiping her hand across the controls. Lights flickered, locks disengaged, and hidden cameras pivoted away. Marcus watched, fascinated and terrified, as she dismantled the agency's defenses with the confidence of someone who had once commanded them. Suddenly, a panel behind them slid open. Marcus spun, sidearm raised, but it was too late. The figure from the surveillance feed stepped into view. A senior agent, one Marcus recognized from his own department. "Marcus Hale," the agent said, voice cold and precise. "I didn't expect to see you here." Marcus's mind raced. "You're on Kane's side." The agent's lips twisted into a faint smile. "Let's just say I follow orders, and the order is to retrieve the intruder." Elena stepped forward, holding the data cube firmly. "You don't know what you're getting into." The agent's hand went to a concealed weapon. Marcus realized that the next few moments could decide everything: life or death, exposure or suppression. But Alina didn't hesitate. Her eyes locked on the agent, and with a fluid motion, she triggered a hidden panel, releasing a brief electrical pulse that sent the agent staggering backward. Marcus rushed to assist, using his body to shield her as the agent recovered and lunged again. Chaos erupted. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and the corridor lit up with red emergency lights. Marcus fought to keep his focus, adrenaline and fear coiling through him. Alina moved with precision, neutralizing systems, disarming traps, and guiding Marcus forward. "Keep moving," she shouted. "We're almost there." Marcus nodded, heart hammering. They sprinted down the corridor, narrowly avoiding automated defenses and pursuing agents. The air was thick with tension, each heartbeat a countdown to disaster. Finally, they reached the maintenance shaft Alina had mentioned. A reinforced panel slid open, revealing a narrow ladder leading upward. Marcus glanced at her. "This is it." She nodded. "We climb, and we pray Kane's forces don't anticipate this exit." Marcus swallowed hard, gripping the ladder. "I hope we're not walking into a trap." Alina's eyes met his, calm and unwavering. "No traps, just truths waiting to be revealed. And if we survive, maybe the world will finally see them." As they began their ascent, Marcus realized the gravity of the moment. Every step upward was a step toward exposure, toward justice, toward chaos. Sublevel H had tested them, the agency had betrayed them, and now their only hope was trust, trust in each other, and trust in the fragile chance of survival. But somewhere behind them, the hum of the sublevel intensified, a reminder that the agency was never far away. Kane's forces were closing in, and Marcus understood with a sinking certainty that the final confrontation was imminent. The ladder rattled beneath Marcus Hale's grip as he climbed, the narrow shaft vibrating with the energy of the facility around them. Every inch upward felt like an eternity. The hum of sublevel H reverberated through his bones, a constant reminder that the building itself was alive, aware, and ready to punish intruders. Alina Mora ascended ahead, the data cube secured against her chest. Her movements were fluid, controlled, unlike Marcus, whose heart raced, knuckles white around the rungs. He could hear faint metallic clicks echoing through the shaft. Automated defenses were awakening, reacting to their breach, but she seemed unfazed. "Marcus," she said over her shoulder, voice calm but urgent, "we don't have much time. Kane's strike teams are already mobilized. Once we reach the upper levels, it's going to be chaos." Marcus swallowed hard. "I thought we were already in chaos." Alina's lips quirked into a brief, tense smile. "This is just the prelude." Finally, they reached the top of the shaft, emerging into a maintenance corridor bathed in harsh emergency lighting. The air was warmer here, but the tension was suffocating. The faint hum of energy was replaced by the sharp, mechanical sounds of movement, distant but unmistakable. Armored boots, the whir of drones, the low murmur of tactical communication. "They're here," Marcus muttered, scanning the corridor. Alina's gaze sharpened. "Stay close and follow my lead, every second counts." They moved quickly, using the shadows for cover. The corridor opened into a junction where several doors led to different sections of the upper facility. Alina paused, assessing the layout. She tapped a hidden panel on the wall, and a section of flooring slid open to reveal a narrow maintenance crawlspace. "Through here," she instructed. "It bypasses the main security corridors. Fewer sensors, fewer eyes, but it's tight." Marcus hesitated briefly, then followed her into the crawlspace. The passage was claustrophobic, forcing them to move single file. He could feel the walls pressing in, hear the faint creak of metal as the building responded to their movement. "Kane knows we're coming," Alina whispered. "He's anticipating every move. That's why this path is the only way. If we go through the main corridors, we're walking into a trap." Marcus nodded, heart hammering. Then let's hope he underestimated us. As they crawled, the faint whir of drones grew louder. Marcus could hear the rhythmic steps of strike teams on patrol above them. He pressed himself closer to Alina, trusting her knowledge, her instincts, even as fear clawed at his chest. Suddenly, a section of the crawlspace shuddered violently. Marcus stumbled, hitting the wall. Sparks flew from a hidden panel. "Pressure sensor," Alina muttered, fingers flying across a concealed keypad. "Almost had us. Keep moving." Marcus swallowed hard, adrenaline spiking. They're relentless. Alina's eyes hardened. "They think they can stop me. They don't understand what I'm capable of." Minutes, or maybe hours, passed in tense silence. Finally, the crawlspace opened into a mechanical corridor leading to the upper levels. Marcus's legs trembled as he stepped into the brighter light. The facility's main floor was in chaos. Alarms blared, drones swarmed the corridors, and armed strike teams fanned out, scanning every corner. Marcus's mind raced. We're outnumbered, way outnumbered. Alina didn't flinch. Numbers don't matter if we're smart. Watch the patterns, anticipate the response, and move fast. We have a window, but it's closing. They sprinted down the corridor, weaving through shadows, ducking behind machinery. Drones buzzed overhead, scanning with lethal precision. One swooped down toward them. Alina slammed her hand against a hidden panel, and an electrical pulse sent it spiraling into a wall, sparks flying. Marcus ducked instinctively, heart hammering. "Keep going," Alina shouted. They reached a reinforced maintenance door, designed for emergency exits and service personnel only. Alina tapped the override sequence, the heavy door sliding open with a hiss. Beyond it lay an external service corridor leading toward the rooftop. Marcus glanced over his shoulder. The chaos behind them was intensifying. Alarms blaring, drones converging, tactical lights sweeping the halls. Kane's forces were closing in, faster than he thought possible. Alina glanced at him, eyes sharp. "Almost there, but we have to move quickly. This next section is exposed. If we're seen, there's no cover." They emerged into the corridor, sprinting full speed. Marcus's lungs burned, adrenaline coursing through his veins. Shadows of drones danced along the walls, their sensors scanning. He saw strike teams moving in formation, weapons raised, ready to intercept. "Left," Alina shouted, pulling him into a narrow side passage. They dove behind a stack of crates as drones buzzed overhead, scanning in vain. Marcus's chest heaved. How are we doing this?" Alina's eyes sparkled with grim determination. "Because I know the building, Marcus. Every panel, every sensor, every blind spot. They've never faced this level of insider knowledge before." They moved again, timing their sprints between patrols, ducking into shadows, manipulating panels to disable cameras and automated turrets. Marcus's respect and fear of Alina grew with every step. She wasn't just surviving, she was orchestrating an escape with precision and grace, turning the facility's defenses against itself. Finally, they reached the ladder to the rooftop. Marcus's hands shook as he climbed, aware that one misstep could be fatal. Above him, the sky stretched, dark but open, a stark contrast to the confined nightmare below. Alina climbed ahead, pausing at the top. She gestured to the edge. "Almost there. One final leap, then we're clear if Kane doesn't anticipate it." Marcus followed, heart pounding. They emerged onto the rooftop just as a helicopter's spotlight cut across the building below. Kane's forces had anticipated an escape attempt. He had deployed aerial surveillance. "Now," Alina shouted, leaping toward the helicopter's cargo bay ramp. Marcus followed, the wind catching him, the cityscape sprawling below. Behind them, the building pulsed, alive with fury and retribution, but they didn't stop. The helicopter's ramp extended, its engines roaring. Kane's forces had reached the rooftop seconds later, but Alina and Marcus sprinted, diving into the cargo hold. The helicopter lifted off, engines screaming against the night air. Marcus collapsed against the floor, chest heaving, adrenaline and exhaustion colliding. Alina placed the data cube carefully beside her. "We did it," she said quietly, though her eyes never left the building. "But this isn't over. Kane knows. He'll be coming for us." Marcus nodded slowly, the enormity of their actions sinking in. "We have the evidence, the files, the proof." Alina's eyes hardened. "Yes, and now we have to survive long enough to use it." The helicopter banked sharply, carrying them away from sublevel H, away from the labyrinth of secrets, and toward a world that had no idea what waited to be revealed. But even as the city lights stretched below them, Marcus felt a chill. Kane was out there, powerful, calculating, and aware, and sublevel H was only the beginning. As the night air rushed past the helicopter, Marcus realized one terrifying truth. Surviving sublevel H was only the first battle. The real war, the one for truth, for justice, and for exposing the shadows, was just beginning. The dimly lit maintenance shaft rattled with every step as Marcus Hale climbed, gripping the cold metal ladder with white-knuckled determination. Alina Mora was just ahead, her silhouette outlined against the faint blue glow of the sublevel's emergency lighting. The data cube was tucked under her arm like a lifeline, a small vessel containing explosive truths that could bring the agency to its knees. "Marcus," she said without turning, her voice steady despite the danger, "once we reach the upper levels, it's going to get even hotter. Kane has mobilized strike teams. We're on a timer." Marcus swallowed, his throat dry. "I thought the whole facility was already a war zone." Alina's lips curved in the faintest smile. "This is just the overture." The ladder ended at a reinforced maintenance corridor. They emerged cautiously, scanning the dim, flickering lights. The floor above was alive with movement, the whir of drones, the rhythmic stomp of tactical boots, and distant mechanical clicks that hinted at automated defense systems activating. "They're closing in," Marcus muttered, heart hammering. "Yes," Alina said, eyes scanning the corridor, sharp and calculating. "We move fast, stay in the shadows, and exploit every blind spot. The extraction point is nearby, but the path is heavily guarded." They sprinted down the corridor, weaving between shadows and behind machinery. Drones buzzed overhead, their red sensors sweeping in lethal precision. One swooped dangerously close. Marcus ducked instinctively, narrowly avoiding the scanning beam. Alina tapped a concealed panel, and a pulse of electricity sent the drone spinning into the wall, sparks flying. "Keep moving," she shouted, grabbing his arm and pulling him along. The corridor opened into a larger junction, where 3 reinforced doors led deeper into the upper facility. Alina paused, pressing her hand against a hidden panel. A section of the floor slid open, revealing a narrow crawlspace. "This is the only way," she whispered. "Through here we avoid the main corridors. Fewer sensors, fewer eyes." Marcus nodded, his chest burning as they crawled through the tight passage. Every metallic groan and flicker of light reminded him that the facility was a living, reactive entity, tracking their presence. Suddenly, a hidden pressure sensor activated, sending a low hum through the metal floor. Marcus froze, but Alina's fingers flew over a concealed keypad, neutralizing the sensor. Sparks arced briefly before the hum ceased. "Almost there," she murmured, pulling him along. The crawlspace opened into a mechanical corridor leading to an upper level. Marcus's legs shook as they stepped into the harsh lighting. The main floor was chaos incarnate. Alarms blared, red lights strobed, and strike teams fanned out in tight formations, weapons raised, scanning for intruders. "They've anticipated us," Marcus muttered. "They're everywhere." Alina's eyes hardened. "Numbers don't matter if we're clever. Watch their patterns, time our movements, and we get through." They moved in bursts, ducking behind crates, leaping over cables, manipulating panels to temporarily disable cameras and automated turrets. Marcus marveled at Alina's skill, the way she anticipated every patrol, every drone sweep, every hidden sensor. She was a conductor, orchestrating a symphony of evasion with precision. A low mechanical whir sounded above them. From a recessed panel, a drone dropped into the corridor, sensors glowing menacingly red. Marcus raised his sidearm instinctively, but Elena grabbed his wrist. "Not yet," she hissed. She tapped a sequence on a hidden terminal and the drone shuddered, lights flickering from red to green, before retracting back into the panel. Marcus felt his jaw go slack in disbelief. She was untouchable in ways he had never imagined. They reached a reinforced service door leading to the rooftop. Elena pressed her palm against the biometric scanner. It glowed briefly, then red. A low hum indicated resistance. An automated lockdown sequence triggered. Marcus glanced around. "They're onto us." "I know," Elena said. Fingers dancing over hidden keypads, she overrode the lockdown manually. Sparks flew and the heavy door groaned open. "Step through and run. No hesitation." They emerged onto the rooftop, rain-slick metal underfoot. Below, Kane's forces swarmed the upper levels, their tactical lights sweeping the building in relentless patterns. The whir of drones intensified. "Go," Elena shouted, sprinting toward the helicopter waiting at the far edge of the roof. Marcus followed, heart hammering, lungs burning. A group of agents appeared at the far side, weapons raised. Bullets pinged off metal. Sparks flew as Elena slammed a nearby console, sending a burst of electricity into an approaching drone. Marcus ducked instinctively, feeling the heat from the arc. The helicopter's ramp extended, its engines roaring, slicing through the night air. Elena leapt, landing inside, and Marcus dove after her. Behind them, Kane's forces reached the rooftop, just seconds too late. The helicopter lifted off, engines screaming against the stormy night. Marcus collapsed against the floor, chest heaving. The data cube rested safely beside Elena, her eyes scanning the city below. "We made it," Marcus whispered, barely believing it. "Yes," Elena said, her voice calm but tinged with exhaustion. "But Kane knows. He'll be coming for us. This is only the beginning." Marcus looked at the sprawling city lights below. The world had no idea of the secrets they now carried: documents, files, evidence of corruption, manipulation, and hidden agendas. He realized the danger wasn't over. It had just changed form. Elena leaned back, her gaze distant, yet determined. "The files are only valuable if we survive long enough to use them. Kane will not let this go unchallenged. We have to stay ahead, stay smart, and be ready for what comes next." Marcus nodded, slowly absorbing the enormity of their mission. They had survived Sublevel H, evaded automated defenses, and outmaneuvered an entire strike team. But he knew the agency's reach was long, and Kane was ruthless. The helicopter banked sharply, carrying them away from the building, away from the labyrinth of secrets. But the storm was far from over. Marcus glanced at Elena, whose eyes never left the horizon. He realized that surviving Sublevel H was only the first battle. The true war, the fight for truth, justice, and exposure of the deepest conspiracies, was just beginning. And somewhere below, in the shadows of the upper facility, Kane watched, calculating, patient, waiting for the right moment to strike back. Marcus exhaled, the helicopter engines drowning out the chaos behind them. But the chill in his gut told him one thing clearly: the extraction was just a temporary reprieve. The real fight was coming.